Now, welcome back to News in Focus. We're talking about matters politics, and in particular politics in Ukambani. We have Robert Mbowe, he's the MP for Kathiani. Speaking about, of course, I'll come back to you, Mheshimiwa. Earlier on, like we were talking about, of course, we're not here to discuss Alfred Mutu and all that, but like we're saying, he's one person against very many. But his star seems to shine bright as compared to the others. So you as leaders, for the sake of the people, what is it that is different that you're doing on ground to ensure that this does not happen again?
We are talking to our people, and we are ensuring that the mistakes that were visited upon them in 2013 will not be repeated. This time we want to ensure that all those interested in those positions of leadership are vetted early enough, and we will also ensure that once we make a decision on who seems to have the right credentials to lead the people of the county, then we shall go around and inform them. Linda, I still want to say that the myth of how, because you just mentioned that the governor seems to be alone, or he seems to be doing well. He may be seeming to do well, but that is outside our county. If you go and visit the county of Machakos, any of the sub-counties, you'll be surprised at the reception that is out there. So the truth be told, we have problems just like everybody everywhere else, but we are working on it as leaders, and we're informing our people to ensure that by the time they do the next election, we also elect people that can work together. We don't want a situation of a one-man show where one person makes decisions behind closed doors and then loads the decision of everybody within the county. So that's what we are working on, but we hope that the people will be able to listen. But so far, I think I can say they are listening. They are listening. All
right. Of course, it's for the best interest of the Ukambani people, and we hope that this is going, things are actually going to go back to equilibrium. That aside, I think I would require a yes or no answer to this. You're a CORD member, yes. I believe, yeah? So, should Raila retire from politics or no?
You know, when you say yes or no, it's a very tricky...
Okay, fine. Let me not say yes or no. Let me give you a moment. Okay, fine. Let me leave it open. What do you think about that?
I don't think he
because
should...
of course, people have been on his case and everything. You know, others are saying he should just retire and, you know, keep the word, keep his name and all that. What do you think?
I don't think, personally, I don't think anyone should be told to retire from a lifelong commitment like politics, like the way Raila has had. Because this is a man who has suffered, who's been in detention without trial, who has, his family has been punished. He has been punished physically and assaulted for his views on leadership. I think he's a person you cannot tell to retire. I think anybody telling His Excellency Raila to retire is a person who basically, in my opinion, is missing the point. We need Raila in Kenyan politics. He may not have to be the president, because there are other people also in CORD that have got equally good credentials and that are capable of leading this country. I wouldn't want to imagine Raila retiring from politics, but I would like him to play a role even in the next government. Possibly even if, for my opinion, is that the next government should be led by His Excellency Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. I say that because I know there's a lot of people who seem to have a lot of fear. And that is why people are saying Raila should retire. Some are scared of him. They are not scared of Kalonzo because they think they seem to think Kalonzo is easier to handle. But the thing is, right now, the two of them, their policies are the same, their ideas are the same, and they're working together very, very closely. I want to say that Raila should remain in politics, even if not vying for the position. He can hold the hands of Kalonzo and the other co-principal Moses Wetangula and ensure that they run this country appropriately. And he can be within the leadership circles to ensure that things don't go wrong. But I don't think Raila should retire from politics.
Well, okay, so I'll skip from that and go to matters education. And we all know that at some point, maybe you've been associated with lots of schools and all that, and you've led some school at some point. You're still leading schools up to this level. And we've been having issues in the matters education. Of course, the ranking of schools, they've had issues. We're talking about the 844 system being stripped off, and we're thinking so much, you know, is at stake on the education sector. Given the opportunity to head that sector, what is it that you would do different to ensure that at least we bring equilibrium again back to the education sector?
I want to begin by saying that, you know, education is actually, when you talk about development, you don't have any development without education. Because education is actually the main pillar to ensuring that a country has a future. And if we educate our children, our young ones, then we are looking at a future that is bright. Kenyan education sector has been hit by a lot of problems. You've mentioned some of them. You've talked about the 844 system itself. I mean, people are calling it 8 minus 4 minus 4, which is 0. So they call it the zero system.
Zero system.
This is a system that was started again by one man, the president at that time, who didn't do much consultation. And so when the system started, even within the period of operation of this system, there have been a lot of changes. Now, the main thing I would look at today in Kenyan education sector is not even that change of that system, and it's not even the ranking of schools, but it is actually managing of our examinations. I want to say it is one of the things that internationally we have failed badly. This is a country where business people who have invested in education will bribe or buy or pay off people so that they can get good results for their schools. Because we all know that, you know, a lot of times parents will look at an institution based on the performance of the previous year without even caring to know what other than results do they have. So I think I would look at how to do exams in this country in a better way. Now, every year you've noticed that exams leak. And every year we have some who get caught, and not everyone gets caught. I'll give you an example of the results that just came out of KCPE. Now, in some of the schools, you find that every child had more than 400 marks. Now, 400 marks works out to an average of 80%. So in a school of 50 children, all 50 had more than 80%. Then you go to another school and you find maybe 1 or 2 had more than 80. And they have a normal curve. We know the normal education curve, which everyone who's done education knows, is that a few will do very well, a few will do badly, but majority will be on average. But this is a school where everyone is excellent. There is no average and there is no poor. So, I mean, when you look at that, it's something that even the education minister, as he announces the results, he can see there's a problem. It's not normal. Primary level, remember, unlike secondary, because I wouldn't want to attack secondary on this a lot. Primary level, the children have not gone through some major interviewing process or a major exam that qualified them to go to that school. So they start in maybe pre-unit, go all the way to class 8. How is it possible that you have cloned 50 children in one school to all be A students? And they have been to school, they have been taught. There is no magic in education. They go to class in the morning, spend the day in class with teachers up to evening, and go home. But then suddenly, their teachers is like they're angels. And they're able to touch them and everything just sinks in. And when the exam comes, all of them are excellent. Let me tell you, there is cheating, and it is rampant. Any school that has every child with more than 400 has cheated in the exams. And this is a fact, because it's not possible. If they are so good, pick for them children from any other school and give them 50 children. Will they get that result? Yes. How? Because they will cheat in that final exam. So we have a problem of cheating, and we need to address this problem. I've come up with a lot of ideas which I intend to discuss in Parliament when we reopen. Because I think one of the reasons why our people are able to cheat is because the examination council sets only one exam for primary and one exam for secondary. So if you're doing you know, science, the science paper is only one. So it's very easy to steal it. Linda, I would propose, and you asked me what changes I would make. I would say that let's do 10 exams for every national exam. If it is science paper, do 10 science papers. They will not steal 10 exams. They will steal one. If they cannot leak all 10 of them. And then every child will do a paper different from the neighbor. So in one school, if it is time for science, there will be 10 different papers being done. One will do paper one, another one, another one. But all of them will be ranked, and whatever grade you get, that becomes your grade. Why someone will say, oh, you know, if you do that, then some people will get an easy paper, some will get a harder paper, and then it will be unfair. And I want to say, go to any institution of learning and set any exam. The child who comes number 1 will come number 1 in any paper they do. The one who's last in the class will constantly be last. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what paper they do. If the child is well educated, they will still do well. So I think it's a high time that we dealt with this education menace of theft of exams. Because what is it doing? It is teaching our children at an early age that you can actually get away without doing a hard day's job. And so what happens is that by the time they get to secondary school, they know very well they didn't get the grades they got. They are put into a very, very, very competitive secondary institution,
yes.
Mangu and the alliances. By Form 1, end of Form 1, Form 2, they've left these institutions. For others who are better deserving, with their big grades, they go to smaller schools. By the time they get to Form 4, I want to tell you, some of them, they don't even get a B grade. Yet they had 450, 430. So I think it's a high time we dealt with the menace of exam cheating in this country.
Yes,
and that would be what I would tell the CS to concentrate his energies on.
Okay. Aside from that, back to the teachers. Are there fears that, of course, come this time, it's a campaign era coming, soon and all that. Are there fears that our schools are going to be a political ground, especially after the strikes, the longest strike that we ever had in the country, and we're feeling that teachers really want they have this anger towards the government and all that. There's this big fear that the schools are going to turn to political grounds. What do you think about that?
They already have. The die is already cast. When the president said they shouldn't be paid their September salaries 2014 last year, 2015, that was last year. That was already a die cast. And the teachers of this country are not happy. They only asked for their rights, and they had a right to go on strike because it's a constitutional right. They had notified the government as expected through their Teacher Service Commission. And let me say that even when they were going on strike, it wasn't that they were demanding things that were not possible. The Teacher Service Commission are the ones who had offered the package the teachers were pushing for. They had been told, we are going to give you this kind of package at this time. And that is what keeps happening. There is this business of promising things. And sometimes people promise thinking the time for delivery will never come. So when the time comes and they are told, look, it's time to pay up, they start saying, no, we didn't say this. So unfortunately, Kenyans, the teachers of this country, I think in 2017, will be working very hard together with us to unseat this Jubilee government and bring in a regime that is caring of the teachers and the children. When you punish teachers, you punish the children. Because when the teachers were not in class, the children are also not in class. So the children are all suffering. When you punish the children, you punish their parents. Because their children, when they go to school, parents go to work. So if the children don't go to school and you don't have a house help, what do you do? So it means you sacrifice going to work, you remain with them. So if you are a mama mboga who sells cabbages at the local market, that day you don't earn money. And look at the period of time that mama mbogas in Kenya were not able to go to the market to sell their wares and make some money. And look at that period when people could not go to office to work because their children were at home. And then tell me, where will Jubilee be expecting to get votes that are connected with education? They would.
Whoa. All right. Well, that aside, politics aside, something basically about you, I'm impressed that you're General Mulinge's grandson. And I just wanted to ask a question, of course, a funny question. Do you think your political success was pegged on, your grandpa's name?
I think I would want to say so. Although my grandfather was not really a politician, he was a military man.
But at some point in life, he found himself in politics.
He attempted politics. He was there for
Somebody
one term.
actually said it was the worst mistake he ever did. Do you think that could have been a mistake?
I wouldn't want to say it was a mistake, but he really wasn't cut out as a politician.
Yes.
He's a person who wants to tell it as it is. A lot of times politicians have what we call double speak. They speak from both sides of the mouth. One day they say this, tomorrow they say I was misquoted. Yeah. And that's what politicians are very good at, except myself and my grandfather. So I think I've ended up in politics also because of him. I think he was an inspiration in many ways, having led the military of this country, actually to the point where the military of Kenya was respected throughout Africa and the world, and that was under his leadership. He's a person who was a leader of the military when all other leaders of military within Africa were toppling their governments left, right, and center. And he decided to not succumb to that ambition and greed. And he used to tell us, we used to spend a lot of time with him, he would tell us, look people, I am where I am and I'm able to sit with you under a tree and drink a cup of tea without looking over my shoulder, just because I behaved myself and ensured that this government and this country is steady. Had he overthrown the government, probably he used to tell us the people he would use would also topple him. And then the ones they use would topple them. So it would be a domino effect. So I do respect his ideas. He led the military in a very good way. When he left the military, he was I think he was convinced by his fellow leaders to attempt his hand in politics. The first time he did, he won in Kangundo, but there was an issue of there was some complications. So he was MP for I think about a day or two, and then then it was over.
It was over.
It was over. Then he became MP for Kathiani one term, but he couldn't play this game. So unfortunately, the second term he had to exit the scene of politics.
All right, as we get to wind up, Mheshimiwa, this has been your first time, of course, in office and everything. And from the way you're talking, I can tell that you're going to take the next term and next and next. And I mean, you're going to run. Of course, we're expecting to see you do that. For the people who would want to march into this scheme for the very first time, what would be your advice to them? You know, someone who's into this green, and they're thinking, of course, they'll also want to be in office. And by good luck, maybe they've landed themselves in office. What would be your simple advice to them?
Yeah, first and foremost, I would discourage anybody who wants to vie for a leadership position to make money. Because the minute you get in there is when you realize there's really no money to be made in politics. So if you are attempting to run for a position of leadership because you think you make a lot of money, that is a myth. That's not true. That's the first thing. And there's a lot of talk, MPs get so much money. There's also so many demands on this money. Every church, I have over 500 churches, wants you to visit them, and you can visit them and give them 100 shillings. So you can imagine the kind of money that you hear an MP contributing in a church. Everybody who has a sick child would also want your help, or a sick relative. They will do harambes and they expect your help. Everybody who needs money for education, the child has been to school, the fees is too much, they've gotten bursary from CDF, but it's not enough. It's never really enough. They need your help. They will come back to you. So when it comes to issues of money, I think being a leader is very expensive. The money you get paid is much, much less than what you actually expected to spend and what you'll actually end up spending. So if it's about money, don't bother. The other issue is don't vie for a leadership position because you want to be a big man. And that's another mistake people make. You will go into parliament, there is 349 members. So when are you going to be a big man? There are 349 of you. And when you walk out across to the Senate, there are 67 big men. When you go to the counties, there are 47 big men. and then there's also the MCAs who are in the 5,000 plus in this country. And then there's all these other commissioners. So don't go there thinking you're going to be a big man and then you get so highly respected. You actually expose yourself a lot. So you only need to vie for a serious position of leadership. If one, you have integrity, you know that you can be trusted with people's money, and two, you know that what you want is not to be the boss, but to be a servant. If you go there with the attitude of a boss, they will fire you. If you go there with the attitude of a servant, they will retain you. And we have seen this happen across. Even in our county, those that have been able to retain their seats in the history are those MPs. When you sit with them, you wouldn't even know there's an MP in the neighborhood. But those who, by the time they walk in, you have to do what do you call it? Those vuvuzelas for them to come. Those ones last one term.
Well, you've had that right. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for finding time to be here with us. And of course, many thanks for always keeping it Ebru Africa and for joining us all the way on News in Focus. And of course, thanks to this team that has made this program a success. And until next time, I'm Linda Alela Matambo.